We're back. Hello and welcome everyone to After the Three Count, filmed at the Tex TV studios here at the OC in Forney, Texas. Your humble hosts have returned, Ashley and Chase, and man, we have missed y'all so much.
It has been entirely too long since
It
I've
has.
sat down at this table across the room from you, Ashley.
It's been about 3 months. Almost 3 months anyway. But that's what happens when we're busy. I'm not going to complain about being busy.
No, it could always be worse, right?
Exactly. So what's been going on with you wrestling wise? Because the last time I saw you here, you did the show. You who did you work with? You worked with
Amon. Was that in December when you were here?
was it December? No, it wasn't December.
Okay.
It was after that. It was were you with Tim Storm?
Yes, that was for NWA.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, it was NWA. And I saw you out there with him, Tim Storm, like he's a presence. And not to like just take over too much of that conversation because I want to hear how your experience was with it. But at the end of your match when I saw him crying,
Yeah.
I was like, damn. Like I felt that and I was just like that's not a work.
No, not at all. And like he told me, before we went out there, Jax had just passed, and this was pretty much the first match that he had done since Jax had passed, and him and Jax had been tagging together for, a while. And we went over everything that we were going to be doing in the match, and I mean it was a short match. It was only like 6 minutes long, but he told me at the end, if I have a moment, just let me have it. Like let me have the ring. And that's what I did. And I mean, organically, I think it hasn't aired yet, but I think it came off really, really well because it was so organic. Like those were his real emotions.
You could immediately tell it was.
Yeah.
Like even me being a wrestler, like I could like the first 5-6 seconds I was like, okay, there it is. And then after that I was like, okay, there it is. Yeah, you could tell the difference between like what he was planning and hoping to do versus the raw visceral reaction he ended up having.
Yeah, and I mean Jax was such a good guy, and I met Jax very early on in my career as well.
Oh really?
And so I've been around Jax since 2016, and it would never fail. He would, anytime I posted anything to do with cars or anything, he would always comment on my car, and he would send me pictures. He was doing a Chevelle, and he would completely remodel the Chevelle.
Ooh, okay.
And so like he would send me pictures of, what he was doing to the interior of his Chevelle, and, that's kind of what we bonded over. And, I had no idea that anything had happened with him. I had no idea that he was sick at all. Without going into too much detail, that's his private, his family's privacy and everything. But when I saw that he passed, like I just felt like a rug had been ripped out from under me. And
I'm sure a lot of people felt like that.
Yeah, and so I couldn't imagine, as much as I was close to Jax, and I couldn't imagine how close Tim was to him and having that reaction. Like, that's one of his best friends in the whole wide world. And he was on a hell of a run with him, and and you got to imagine, like, how much fun would that be, dude? If you were traveling with your best friend, rooming with your best friend, wrestling with your best friend, those 5-6 hour long car rides, like it just makes all of it so much easier. And then all of a sudden one day it's just gone.
Yeah.
And so I was grateful enough, extremely grateful to be in this situation to tag with Tim in there, and especially, here in my hometown of Forney. And it's funny enough, that was the day after my 10-year anniversary in wrestling.
Yeah. Very nice.
The ring that we used that night was the ring that I had my very first match in.
Full circle
10
moment.
years prior to that.
Full circle moment.
Yep.
Here we go.
And so here I am, wrestling for NWA in my hometown in the very first ring I ever had my match in, and I'm tagging with Tim.
That's beautiful.
Who, the very first show I ever did, Tim was there. And Tim basically pulled me to the side and was like, "Hey, I'm taking you under my wing." And I was like, "Yes, sir. Okay." He saw something in me that, he knew that he could bet on Bam Bam.
Right.
But, it was complete full circle moment. But, back to Jax, like, I don't know. I was lucky enough to be in that position to, tag with Tim there. And I'm hoping that, luckily, hopefully I did a good enough job that Jax is looking down and smiling at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I've never met him personally, but there are just some people you can tell, like, yeah, that's a very sweet man. And granted, any passing, any loss is tragic, but it takes it to a whole different level. I don't mean to put celebrities or anyone of that higher status on a pedestal, but when you have so many people that know who you are and you're a genuinely good person, it makes it so difficult. And it's just like, it feels like it happens so often. And that's why I really like how whenever I first started wrestling, it was, don't bug the higher talent, don't be a paparazzi, don't be like, oh, I want a picture with you, da da da. But nowadays, with all the passings that have happened, they're like, take the picture, like, take the damn picture.
Yeah,
you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's true, because you wouldn't expect him to happen to Jax. It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, he looked like an extremely healthy, male. Like there were no signs of him being sick. There were no signs of any, issues internally, like nothing. So, it was a big shock. And like you said, it does put things into perspective. Like, take the picture. Who cares?
Right.
If they think you're a mark at the end of the day, dude, we're all marks. That's why we got into this. Who cares?
Man, it's just... Anyway, I'm not trying to get heavy.
Yeah. I know. Ooh. First episode back, and I'm over here tearing up.
Hey, this is supposed to be a genuine place. But so how was it with NWA?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
This was my second time working for them. The first time was last May. I had a fatal 4-way, and I won that. And then Tim and I won the tag match as well. So I am 2-0. In NWA competition.
Yes. Excellent.
And then this past December, I did win the NWA Texas Heavyweight Championship.
You did.
Yes,
so, you did.
That was big. I just had my first title defense a couple of weeks ago against Frank Stone.
Ooh, how was that?
Oh, it was so good, dude. So good. And it's so funny. Like, I probably had a group of like 15 to 20 people that came, and it was just a mix of friends, family, people from the gym. And afterwards, we went to like a little bar and grill that's around the corner from here. And so we're all hanging out, and they're asking questions about the match. And I go, "Oh, well, hey, look, here's Frank." And they were so caught off guard. They're like, "We just watched y'all beat the hell out of each other for 15 minutes, and then y'all are coming in here and drinking beers together." I'm like,
"It's business. It's business. It's fine."
Yeah,
it's fine,
I'm like, dude, Frank is one of my best friends in the business. Like, of
I'll
course.
fight my best friend for a paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. And and then explaining to them, we did have a really funny encounter. We were setting up for a superplex, so Frank goes up to the top, and of course I cut him off.
Yeah.
And you know how it is when you're hitting someone while they're up on the top, you kind of have to jump into it, especially if you're going to give them a flipper or forearm.
Right.
Well, I jumped, and I made full contact. I felt it with my arm and everything. I heard it, and so as I climb up, I grab Frank and I ask him, "Are you okay?" And he just looks me dead in the eye and he goes, "You stiff motherfucker." And I said, I know. And we both laughed. And then I said, "Okay, you ready?" "Yep, 1, 2, 3," and we hit it. And that was it. And, if Frank didn't know that, I love him and I care about him, then, if that was a complete stranger that I've been in the ring with for the first time, they could have been like, what the hell is this?
I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
happens.
And
some people like that.
Yeah, but Frank knowing, when you're in there with someone that you are close with, you can kind of snug it up a little bit.
Like, how dare you?
Yeah, exactly. Because they know you're not out there to get them. You just want to make everything look good.
It's a lot more. I will say it's a lot more relaxing, and it's a lot more fun when you work people you have before. Because at the same time, while there's that familiarity, there's also you both have grown in just a short amount of time or a long amount of time. And so there's this one competitor. Her name is Olivia Vegas, and she lives in Vegas right now. She was originally from Oklahoma, and I worked her so many times, but every time we worked, it was like it was better and better because she was one of those, and she still is one of those who constantly trains, and I still constantly train. And so being able to grow together and then put on these bangers together, like I want to, now that she's moved to Vegas, she's really upped her wrestling. I want to get my hands on her again.
Yeah. Yeah. And same thing. I mean, even with Frank and I, when SWE was around, we wrestled each other, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 times for SWE. And then we hadn't been in the ring with each other since 2020, 2021, since all that had ended. So this is our first match in, 5 years or so. And, afterwards it was cool to get those words from him, he just basically came up to me and was like, man, I can tell that you've grown a lot in those 4 to 5 years.
Isn't that so flattering?
Yeah. And he was like, not that you weren't good beforehand, but he said, basically said, I understand why you're in the position that you're in right now. And you've raised a bar. So now I know what I need to raise the bar to. And God, it just feels good. Like we do all of this, to seek some sort of validation and some sort, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Like none of us want to get involved in this just to be told that we suck, but when you do get those words of affirmation, get told that, you're doing this, you're doing good. And it's like, okay, all these sacrifices I made, the last 10 years of my life, I haven't just been wasting time. Like, okay, I'm doing well. I'm doing all right. I'm on the right path. And sometimes, I know that. But sometimes
it's nice to get reaffirmed.
It's just nice to hear it.
You need to, because that's like, and it's not an ego thing. It's just a natural human response. Like, I need to know that I'm moving forward and not fucking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And no, I love that kind of validation as well, and especially with my track record of being on a hot streak, getting hurt, being on a hot streak, getting hurt. So when these people see me after almost like a year or so, they're like, whoa, you've gotten so, like, I don't mean this as an insult, you've gotten so much better. And I'm like, trust me, dude, I know I sucked. And I was trash.
But it's always so funny when they're like, hey, don't take this as an insult, but you've gotten better. I'm like, how am I supposed to take that as an insult?
That is such a compliment.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Like, it's not backhanded at all. Like,
no.
Like, we're supposed to continually get better, you know? So, no, don't insult me. Like,
and it makes me wonder, what kind of people are getting insulted with a compliment like that? It's like, get down off your high horse there.
Yeah, like, what do you mean? Like, do you think you're supposed to just break into this and automatically be the man? No.
You're probably one of those guys who bills himself at 5'11", but you're really 5'7".
Exactly.
I know you.
I'm really 6'2", but I say I'm 6'5".
I'm really 5'9", but people like to bill me at 5'11". I had this one commentator. He was I don't remember what show it was for, but I stand next to him and he's like, oh my gosh, you are tall. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm tall for a woman, but I also, boots are thick. Mine aren't as thick as most people's, but they had a little lift because I like cushion.
Yeah.
And I'm standing next to this guy and he's like, man, you're really tall because I'm like 6 foot. And I'm like, you're not 6 foot because I can see the top of your head. And he's like, oh, I need to bill you. This was back when I was almost 200 pounds. So he's like, I'm going to bill you 6 foot, 200 pounds. I'm like, don't you fucking dare.
Yeah.
Like, no, you can bill me at 5'10", because that's fair with the boots, but don't you dare lie. Like, I don't need my ego stroked like that. Trust me. I know comparison wise, if you look at me in the ring with other women, yeah, there's an obvious size difference. Not as much anymore, but I'm still taller than them. I'm still more muscular than most. Yeah. And but it's just so funny the way people act around their height and stuff.
And when, like, even with build weight, especially the men, like, we all exaggerate our build weight and height.
To be fair. TV does make you look bigger.
It does.
So
it really does. And I mean, like, shoot, I'm around, like, I hover between like 195, 200, and I always bill myself at like 222. And
damn.
But I know.
What the heck?
But TV, man, it makes you look bigger.
It really does.
And my boots do, and I am tall. Like, I'm taller than majority of the locker room. And so that adds to it as well. Because, I mean, with my boots on, I really am like 6'4".
Right.
And so, I am bigger than everyone else. So just because someone may be thicker than me, well, I may have 2 or 3 inches over them on height.
Right.
And so, but it is funny. Like I'll ask, I ask Frank, hey, what are you billing yourself at? And he's like, 250. And I'm like, okay, I'm 235.
I got to keep up with you.
And I know he really is probably 250 or closer to 250 than I am 235. But I'm like, it's just a little battle.
It's a competition within the competition.
Exactly.
Who can look bigger?
Exactly.
Oh my God. I saw on Instagram the other day. I got to ask, dude, what is going on with you and the cars and the parking? What's going on?
You know what? Ashley, I just flat had it one day. It's awful, dude. The gym that I work at and help run, we have very limited parking, and it's tight in there. And if you park over onto the line, well, then that completely ruins the next spot.
Understandably.
Next to you.
Yep.
And sure enough, I pull up one day, and there's an SUV that is parked completely over the line. And so I took a picture, posted it. Dude, I got so many likes to the story, reactions to the story. And even what's funny enough is the girl who it was, I didn't realize it was her car, but I know her. Oh. And so she, comments back, and she's like, bah, ha, 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 ha. That's my car. And so her name's
You're welcome.
Yep, her name's Kirsten. And I told her, I was like, dude, I'm so sorry that I wouldn't have blown you out if I'd known that was you. And she's like, no, I think it's funny. So I did it a second time, and same thing. People just kept reacting to it, and I'm like, dude, this is getting more engagements than my wrestling posts are.
Because it's relatable.
Exactly.
Let's be real. It's relatable, because that makes me so mad. Whenever my car is a relatively small. It's a Kia Soul. I love that thing. I'm gonna run that thing to the ground. So it's really easy for me to park, even if people park poorly. But I'll park, and I'm just like, trash. Especially when you're on the line.
And dude, it's just like laziness in today's society. Like,
for real.
If I park and I get out and I'm like, oof, that wasn't good.
Right.
I will move my car and put it in its proper spot.
It's only proper.
Yes, as you should. Like, I don't know. Respect the person that's going to park next to you, or respect the person that you're parking next to. Like, I drive a nice car. I would like to keep my car nice. I don't like door dings. I park way out in BFE everywhere I go, and it never fails. I will park way out in the middle of nowhere, and someone parks right next to me, right on the line.
Perfect.
And I finally just had it one day, so I'm going to start exposing everyone.
Just don't get in trouble.
I know.
No license plates.
Yep, and I've been good about that. No license plates, but come on, people. I'm going to start getting your shit towed.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You're going to ruin someone's day.
Too far.
Might be, depends on what mood you're in, I guess.
I'm just petty enough to ruin someone's day, not their life. But I will definitely inconvenience their day for one day if they piss me off enough.
You know what? That's beautiful. I like that.
Yep. So let me elaborate on that real quick, because I told Savannah this story the other day and she lost it. I used to run in Anytime Fitness. And I had this one member, dude, he just would complain about everything. He would complain about the music. I mean, if you named it, he had a complaint for it. And so my last day there, I X'd out his key fob to where he couldn't get in. And I was like, well, he's going to be the next manager's problem, and left.
Oh, that's great.
Did he ever go get it fixed? I don't know.
It's not your problem anymore.
I don't know, but and he would get there like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to work out. And I was like, I'm going to ruin this guy's day for one day. Yep.
Whole day, because you can tell the type of people who the smallest inconvenience will ruin their whole day. And it's like, buddy, you need to relax.
Yep.
Like, I'm put in a bunch of situations that piss me off, but you gotta let it go.
Yep. And this was definitely one of those people. So I take pride in I ruined his day for one day, but I guarantee you he called, got that sorted out, and he was good to go the next day.
Oh my God. What are some upcoming shows that you're gonna be at for the next few months?
So I don't have anything this weekend. Like I told you before we went on air, St. Patrick's Day Parade is in Dallas, and my girlfriend and we did get tickets to Deftones at American Airlines Center, so we're going to go do that. Yeah. And then I will be at EPW, Effusions Pro Wrestling. It was formerly CWF, the Christian Wrestling Federation.
That's funny you bring that up because my boyfriend Ryan, he actually just recently like got in with them.
Okay.
And he goes there and trains on Mondays, and he's loving the vibe so far. He hasn't worked for them yet. I think I want to say not the next one, but maybe the one after he's going to work for it. But he's really excited to give it a shot.
And it's such a good atmosphere there. You know, those are the guys that I very first broke in with. And funny enough, it's their ring that we used for NWA.
Okay.
And it's the only locker room that I take my wallet into. I will not take my wallet into any other locker room. I leave it locked in the glove box in my car. But I trust each and every single one of those guys enough that I don't care. I leave my stuff out in the open when I'm back there. Like, I feel like I can fully, when I walk in those doors, my guard just goes down.
That's
completely.
Awesome.
And it's just such a good atmosphere. And you know, Barrett Brown is handling majority of the booking there, and he does such a good job, man. He puts so much thought and detail into every little thing, and everybody has a story, you know, and it's just really, really cool to see, you know, him branch out and do that. You know, to my knowledge, this is the first time that Barrett's ever, you know, fully booked anything like that. So it's just a blast. It really is. It's such a good atmosphere, and everyone's there to help. You know, there's not politics. There's not, you know, someone telling you, hey, man, good match, and then turn around and be like, God, this guy fucking sucks.
Oh, my God.
You know, there is none of that. You know, everybody's there to genuinely help each other. And, dude, if something sucks, we will tell them. Like, you know, one of the trainees or anything. Like, hey, dude, that sucked. Don't do that again.
Very
but
nice.
We're not just going to tell them to their face, yeah, man, you know, match was good. Oh, I heard the crowd. You're good. You know, like, oh, I hate all that, dude. Like, let's actually help each other get better, because if anything, it just helps the whole entire product.
That is one thing I cannot stand. And that's one thing I know a lot of other women challenge. It's a big challenge for them because they will want that constructive criticism. It's literally a 50-50 where 50% of the women do not want that constructive criticism because they think their shit don't stink. And then you got the other 50% that's like, no, please tell me the truth. And they are never told the truth. No. And that's why I'll always respect Ryan, because no matter what, he will tell me if a match is bad. Like, I had maybe only one terrible match in front of him, and looking from an outsider's perspective, it wasn't that bad. But based on my standards and how long I've been doing this, I'm like, nope, that was bad. And it was so bad that I was tearing up at the back. And he came up and he's like, and he's like, do you want to hear it now? And I'm like, yep, okay, no, I know it was bad. And he because you need it. You really do. You need the honest truth if you want to get better. Some people are perfectly content with the way they are. I can't relate to that. No. But granted, it's an imperfect sport, but I want to get damn near close to as perfection as I can.
Of course.
And you can't lie about that kind of stuff. Like, no. And also, to be on the other side of that coin, as someone who wrestles, whether you're green or you've been in it 5, 10, whatever years, I'm always going to ask other people's opinions about my matches. And I'm going to ask, hey, your match is done, right? Would you mind watching mine? Especially if it's someone new who came in the locker room and I want a different perspective of it. And granted, I have to be like, look, please just be honest. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I don't have any. But like, you're going to be like, I need it. I need to hear it. I need to hear it. And so a lot of people don't do that. And you have to ask before. You can't just assume everyone's going to watch your match. And I tell my students this all the time, like, bro, listen. If you want me to watch your match, you have to tell me. Yeah. Because I'm not going to go out there and watch every single match. I will go, and the ones that I managed and the ones that I helped construct, I'll watch those because I want to make sure everything was executed and everyone's safe. Yeah. But everything else, it's like, bro, like, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, oh, yeah, it was good. Now, I will say, oh, that was you that just worked? Oh, the crowd was hot the whole time. So
obviously
to them,
you did something right.
So obviously you did something right. You did the one thing that I value more than anything, and that is entertain the crowd. Yeah. Because without them, this is nothing.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the whole reason why we're there. You know, we're not there
Literally.
to pop the boys and girls in the back or, you know,
too many people
do cool moves for our own, you know, YouTube highlights. Like, no, dude, like if that crowd in attendance is sitting on their hands, you're not doing your job.
I can't even get any cool clips for YouTube highlights. I don't know why. Like, I have the worst luck. I don't know if it's just me, but like any show that I'm on that has a photographer, don't get any of my action. And I've been doing some weird, interesting stuff that you ain't never seen before. And apparently no one else is ever going to see it.
Yeah.
Because I can't post any pictures. I can't post any clips. And so, like, I'm trying to get into the habit of having someone who can film my stuff. Because
that's what I was going to say.
I do some weird stuff, like, to complement my weird character.
Yeah.
I do a lot of backbendy stuff. And I'm working on some new tricks that I'm really hoping to catch one day. Because it's like... That's weird, but that's cool.
Yeah.
But I can't show anyone if no one catches it.
Yeah, like I remember Sammy Guevara used to, he would just go out and give his phone to a random fan. And he'd be like, hey, do you please mind recording my match? And I mean, but every single one of his matches he had filmed. And whether he set up a tripod at the merch table and just set his phone on there and... You know, right before his match, he'd run out there, press record, you know, go do the match. Afterwards, come back, you know, turn it off.
Right.
Like, he found a way to get footage of every single one of his matches.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like, I can't rely on the videographers, the photographers, like... And, you know, like, dude, they have 1,000 other things going on, too. You know, we're not the only thing.
Like, our match is not their priority.
Exactly.
Yes, filming it, but, like, the angles that we want to work are not their priority.
Yeah, no, not at all. And you know, a lot of these videographers, and, like, they don't even know what an angle is. They don't know what, you know.
They really don't.
So... And you know, that's not a knock to them. They're not wrestling fans. They're videographers. They're photographers. You know, they got a paying gig to come shoot this wrestling show. So they're not going to say no. But I think wrestlers are really, really bad at relying on, you know, having the footage when, you know, at the end of the day, like, you have to get the footage to do that. And, you know, luckily we're blessed enough, like with TSW, you know, we have a high, you know, HD, you know, the best footage that we could ever have. But that's TSW.
Right.
You know, that's here. That's not everywhere.
Exactly.
And I would say 98% of independent companies can't touch the, you know, the technology that these guys have here at TSW. You know, maybe the only other place in Texas is Row.
I mean, absolutely. This place is insane. Like, the OC itself is insane. Like, that's why I really like coming out here to these podcasts. Yeah, it takes me like half a day to get here. Not dramatic. But it takes way too long to get here. But it's like, it's so worth it because we don't have to pay for this. Like, we are in a very blessed position right now to have all of these tools at our at our disposal to help us propel our careers. And a lot of people, they just prefer to sit back and let it come to them. But in reality, no. You have to go get it.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm getting this tour from Randy about it, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, a podcast. I haven't done one of those in a long time. And he's like, oh, do you want it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you and Chase could do it. I'm like, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, hell yeah.
Exactly, dude. And like, you know, you truly get what you put into, I mean, anything in life, right? But I don't know, there was something one day that just clicked with me with that, and especially with wrestling. And I was like, dude, if I really want to make this, I have to go the extra mile.
Yeah.
And because there are 1,000 other guys out there that have long blonde hair and probably look as good, if not better than I do. What am I going to do to set myself apart from them? And, you know, I can't do it just wrestling on the weekends and occasionally posting something on social media. Hey, come see me wrestle Saturday night. No, you have to go. You have to go do the podcast. You have to go do the meet and greets. You have to call in at radio stations. Like, you know, you have to do everything.
You have to pass out the flyers.
Yes, exactly. I still pass out flyers to this day here in Forney. Like, you have to put in the groundwork, I mean, you truly do get what you put into it. And if you're only half-assing it, then you're only going to get half-ass results.
And also, like, a lot of people these days, and I sound like such an old head when I say this, but kids these days, they know nothing but instant gratification.
Yes.
And the internet and social media has spoiled them of going to get the work. Like, you and I, we kind of grew up in the same, granted, I'm older than you, but we grew up in the same line of, we were, throughout our childhood, we didn't have this. But then during the teen years, we had it.
Yeah.
So we got the best of both worlds, in my opinion, anyway. So that's why
we didn't grow up dependent on it.
No, like, if we wanted something or we wanted to learn something, like, you got to actually look for that. You don't got Chat GPT saying, like, oh, what's this? What's that? It's like, lazy.
Exactly. And, like, another example, like, my favorite sport is Supercross. I watch Supercross, motocross, dirt bike racing. That is my jam, dude. And I remember being a kid, the races would happen on Saturday. And they wouldn't come on TV until the following Saturday. So the races were always 1 week behind. Well, now they're live. So I can watch I can watch 6 hours worth of racing all in one night. They're all live. And it cracks me up. Like, people will complain and bitch about the broadcast. And I'm like, guys, we have live Supercross. I used to have to go online, look up the results. I would scribble all the names down and go tell my friends, hey, dude, Chad Reed got fourth this week, you know? But now we can watch it live as it is happening.
And that's literally what it was like when we were watching wrestling as kids,
yes.
too. Did you see what happened Monday night? No, did you see what happened Friday night? Like, oh my gosh. You had to, like, well, first off, I have a terrible memory. And so, like, anything that happened, I had to write it down, or else I would be so overly excited and overstimulated by the time I get to school and I'm with, Destiny, did you?
Completely gone.
I forgot.
Completely gone.
But I'm so hyped. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So, okay, EPW, you're going there. What are your goals for this year? Because we're still, it's March. It's early March-ish. What are your wrestling goals for this year?
I would love to work more with the NWA outside of just here in Forney.
Right.
I do love, anytime they come to Forney, I hope I'm booked on the shows and, I'll help out and do whatever I need to. When they were just here this past January, Billy Corgan needed a gym to use to film some vignettes.
I got you.
And so we shut down our gym and they came in and took it over. And it went from being a gym to a movie set that looked like a gym. Like it was nuts with all the lights and everything they had. But,
oh, wow.
It was super, super cool. Everything came out, super great. So I would love to continue working for them every time they come to Forney, but also, like, I want to go on the road with them. And I want to hit more of these towns with them and show them that I do have value and that I can bring value to their product.
Yeah.
Whether that's them taking a chance on me and just doing it, or if I just had to go show up one day.
You got to do the grunt work, brother.
Exactly, So ultimately, that's my goal for the end of this year is to be working more regularly with them.
Yeah.
On a more consistent basis, just not every time when they come to Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
That's
What about you?
How
are your injuries and everything going? How's your elbow doing?
Oh, I'm totally fine.
You're good to go now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
100%. I've been 100% since January.
Okay, good. I remember the last time we talked, I think you said January was when you were supposed to be released. So no issues, nothing? Nope. Good.
I got all my muscle back, so I'm good.
Good. How was that coming back from that, like working out again?
It wasn't that bad, honestly.
Did you have any like atrophy on that
Just
arm?
a little bit. Just a little bit. Mostly in like the forearm or whatever. But like I never worked out my forearms. Like that was an accessory muscle that I used when I was carrying stuff. Dude. I never actually like did forearm stuff, and now I do, and I'm kind of digging the veins. But nah, coming back, it was totally fine. A lot of the troubles was getting past the mental block, but once I did, it was like it's nothing. So now that I'm 100% again, I swear, bless her heart, I am bugging the crap out of Jazz to get back here at TSW. Because it's one thing, Randy wants me back or whatever, but in the back of my head, I'm like, it's Jazz's decision.
Yeah.
Like, and so, like, no, I told her right away, like, hey, I'm healthy again. If you need me, I'm here. And I'm so mad. I'm gonna try not to get too into it, or else it will really make me mad again. But the past show y'all had March 1st.
Yes.
Calm down. She messaged me a week before, and she's like, "Hey, girl, are you booked?" To my knowledge, at the time, I was.
Okay.
Notice my tone.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. I am, but like, I have TSW written down for every other date for the rest of the year. Like, I've got that booked if you need me." And she's like, "Okay, thank you, love." Come March 1st, I walk into the venue, and I'm like, "All right, what am I doing?" Ain't a damn match on that card for me.
Oh, dude.
So I was very angry. And that was the one time, like, I'm quite a professional person. Like, I let the emotions, like, out, whatever, hidden. I couldn't hold it in that night. I was so upset.
Yeah, dude.
And it's one, because, like, I get it. You have the Dark Trinity. You need me there for the Dark Trinity. Not really, but you like me there for the Dark Trinity. But what made me the most angry is that I could have had a TV spot.
Yeah.
I checked out. I checked out for like a week and a half. I'm still kind of checked out, but it's a learning lesson. It's a learning, and I'm saying this knowing full well that this could get back to them, but at this time, it's like, I'm not lying.
Yeah.
I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
Yeah, and like, I have all the respect in the world for Bobby. I really do. He's been nothing but great to me. I think he's brought me in twice, maybe 3 times. But also, like, I don't really care if this gets back to them. But, you know, I hope you do take that as a lesson. And truthfully, you should have canceled.
I should have.
And been at TV.
Ryan
on
said the same
TSW. And dude, that is not a knock to SOAR. It's just the truth. TSW has more value than SOAR does. We have an alliance with NWA.
Yeah.
They do not. We have a path to the mainstream. They do not.
Yep.
And, you know, that's something that I had to learn too. And, you know, it doesn't always matter how many bookings you have. It also matters the quality.
Quality over quantity.
Bookings. Dude, there's some shows I would rather not drive 6.5 hours to get a small envelope and then drive 6.5 hours back. Dude, I'd rather stay at home and chill with my girl and go to the gym and better myself that way, you know, instead of putting all these countless miles and on my car and on my body. And dude, like, we work full-time jobs. Like, this is not our full-time gig.
Right.
And so we're busting our ass working 40, 50 hours a week. On the weekends when normal people go and rest, we hop in a car and go do 14, 15-hour road trips. And it's not sustainable. You know, none of us can do this forever. Right? So
unless you're Ric Flair.
Well, heart attack in last match and everything, and apparently he is a different animal. He is a different breed. They don't make him like Ric Flair anymore, but you know, like we all have an expiration date on this wrestling thing.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're going to take your chances, you got to do it with big opportunities. And and again, like, I hope none of this, you know, upsets anyone.
It's a lot of people take it too personally when this is business. I've known this since the get.
Yes.
And because my initial inauguration into wrestling was not good, and so I've seen the dark side of the ring way earlier than I should have. But it's all a matter of, as a wrestler who wants to go to the next level, you have to be selfish. And that was my problem. I let loyalty and selflessness get in the way. And if anything, this was a very hard lesson for me. This was a bad. Yeah. This was a very bad lesson for me, to where it's like, you know what? You need to learn to prioritize your bookings. And granted, the voice in the back of my head is like, don't burn that bridge, but it's like, I'm not burning a bridge. I'm elevating myself to a different level. And if you as a promoter cannot understand that, and you burn the bridge, you like that match, I need to be okay with that. And I need to just be like, all right, cool, bye.
Yeah.
But
And
so I won't do that again.
yeah. And like another example was, the first time I got booked for NWA out here, I was supposed to work for Josh Newell at BIW. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey man, I had this opportunity with NWA, and without hesitation, he was like, go do it.
A lot of them understand that.
Yes, because I'm one of his main talents. If one of his main talents is featured on NWA TV, or if I go do an extra spot and somehow get a match in WWE, that only benefits him.
Yes.
And so many promoters, and like they're so close-minded to that and so simple-minded. Like I had a promoter get mad at me because I canceled to go do WWE extra work.
Bro.
And I'm pretty sure that was the match. That was the time I ended up having the match with Braun on SmackDown. So yeah, it paid off for me. And
it did.
I will skip that booking 10 times out of 10 to get TV time on a national television show. Yeah. None of us signed up for this. At least I didn't. I didn't sign up for this to wrestle in front of crowds of 500.
Right.
For the rest of my life.
Right.
I would like to make a living at this, and I would like to do it in front of a huge audience.
Mm-hmm.
And, I understand that's not everyone's goal in wrestling.
Which is fine.
Which is fine, dude. But if you want to play wrestling, then don't proclaim yourself to be a professional wrestler.
If you want to play wrestling, then get out of my way.
Yeah. Essentially.
So aside from being selfish and getting back in TSW's good graces, which I was never out of the bad graces, but aside from being more selfish on that, my other goal is to get out of Texas more.
Yeah.
And I've made that very clear everywhere I go. Like, I am getting out of Texas because there are so many promotions in Texas, good ones.
There are.
But I really need to get those miles under my belt. Because to me, that is the best way to grow yourself nationally and internationally before you are signing a contract. Like, you have to travel. You can't expect to blow up just being in Texas unless you do something stupid like throw someone through a ceiling tile.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that video?
Absolutely.
I know that dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's so dumb. Anyway,
lost the building forever.
So I've already got bookings in Arizona.
Nice. Okay.
Because the booker liked me out there when I went in December.
Okay.
He liked what I did. So I've got Arizona. I put my feelers out in the east, and then I'm working on Colorado.
Okay.
And Greeley, Colorado, with a battleground.
Okay. The only one I know of in Colorado is Rocky Mountain.
I know Rocky Mountain too. I would like to get there as well. But Battleground, I reached out and we're going back and forth. I actually just sent him the dates for the Dark Trinity because he loves gimmick stuff. And I'm like, bro, I got a gimmick for you.
Perfect. Yeah.
And so we got the dates all figured out. Now it's just a matter of me trying to figure out how to get there without breaking my back and my budget.
Yeah.
Because that's a long drive. And so I'm Googling flights to Denver, because you got to take Denver and then you got to drive an hour north. And so it's like, is this even going to be worth it? And I started Googling the Denver International Airport. And I went down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. Oh. So here we go. Have you heard about this stuff?
No.
I wrote it all down.
Okay, I'm here for it.
So apparently, the Denver International Airport is said to had some kind of influence, or the Illuminati had some kind of influence over that. And I'm starting to read this stuff, and anyway, the Illuminati, it's just a whole different thing. That goes down a rabbit hole. So I'm not going to delve too far into that. But many Illuminati believers are convinced that the Denver International Airport is a secret headquarters of theirs. And
okay. I'm intrigued.
It gets worse.
Yeah, it gets worse.
The airport, but and like the airport's like embraced these rumors, almost like poking fun out of it, thinking like, hey, are you really gonna believe that there are secret lizards or secret lizard people and tunnels under this? You're so funny. Yeah, we sure do. Mm-hmm. That's what Area 51 did. They started joking about it, but in reality, it was true.
Mm-hmm.
And so the conspiracy believers and the theorists, they poise that the DIA is a hub for lizard people who run the government, which is so funny to think about lizard people.
Lizard people.
And much of the world, not just the government. Some believe that, it's the base of the Illuminati, while others believe it's a portal to hell, with Lucifer being their go-to guy. And let me explain what Lucifer is. And when you see this, if you Google this, you'll be like, oh yeah. Outside the DIA, there's this giant sculpture of a blue horse with red eyes. So people call it Lucifer.
Lucifer, okay.
Yeah, and the artist who created it died creating it. And so it's like, it's already got some bad juju in there. But it guards the gateway.
Okay.
And so it's like, there are also weird murals on the wall depicting bad moments in history. Over in Germany.
Ooh, okay.
And there's that kind of imagery. And then there's commemoration, capstone plaques, which mention the New World Airport Commission, which it's an organization that does not exist. So it's like weird, but it's art, whatever.
Yeah.
But between that and the gargoyles in a terminal and the interactive gargoyle that welcomes you to the Illuminati headquarters, it literally says that. They're going in on this. They're going in on this.
They're
way
just
too
fully leaning in on it at this point.
They really are. And so like the gargoyle says Illuminati headquarters before like correcting itself and says, oh, I mean the Denver International Airport.
Okay, that's funny.
It's so stupid. But
dude, I don't discredit anything anymore.
they're either poking fun at the conspiracy theorists surrounding the facility, or they're hiding something in plain sight. And let me tell you, I went to that airport before I knew all this. And, dude, I'm not going to lie. Walking through that, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Walking through that airport feels so weird. Something is off. Like, even looking at the photos, the murals on the wall, I'm like, what? Like, walking through that airport makes you uncomfortable. Physically and emotionally.
Just feel,
like I was with Ryan and I'm like, do you feel what's going on here? And he's like, I want to get out of here. And I'm like, same.
Yeah, it just kind of gives you the heebie-jeebies.
Yes. And it's just, it's so crazy. But I mean, hey, conspiracy theories are a guilty pleasure of mine.
Oh, dude.
So I can't help it.
And I really don't. I mean, dude, I don't discredit any of them anymore. Like, a lot of these conspiracy theories have turned to be true. And so it's like, you really can't now. I mean, do I really believe it's an Illuminati headquarters? I don't know. But
you don't know.
But I don't. That's it. I'm not going to discredit it. I don't know.
But call me crazy or whatever, but again, guilty pleasure. I'm not going to deny it. But speaking of guilty pleasures, I posted on Instagram the other day, hey, we're coming back into the podcast room. What questions do you have? Got two responses.
Okay.
One of them was asking about what are you and Chase's guilty pleasures?
Okay.
Stuff you don't want to admit, but you very much enjoy it. And I'm scratching my head. I'm like, I'm pretty much an open book. I'm pretty honest about the things I do. And I'm really thinking about it. And then I was like, oh God. There is two things.
Uh-oh.
So I will be honest. Okay. So I am a sucker for terrible reality TV shows.
Oh, me too.
And I'm talking Love is Blind, my guy. I love Love is Blind. And it's so ridiculous because I will be screaming at my TV right as Ryan walks through the door and he's like, do I need to come back?
He's like, let me leave and try this again.
It's so bad. Like, oh God, I love it so much. And I'm like, I know half of this is fake, but damn it. It's so good. So that's one guilty pleasure. And then the other one is a lot harder to admit. Okay. So I recently started getting into Audible, the book reading app or whatever, as a way, when I'm traveling or whatever. Best decision I ever made. I already went through like 4 books. Yeah. And so there's this one book series that it hit the shelves, I want to say around the pandemic era. And it was ACOTAR, A Court of Thorn and Roses. You ever hear of that?
No.
And so it's a fantasy book.
Okay.
It's a fantasy novel. It's a fantasy series around fae and fairies and stuff, which actually kind of like hits home to some personal stuff with me. So I'm just like, interesting. And so I never read it. And I'm like, I don't know if I can have the energy to go through a fantasy novel. Well, I have Audible now. And so I'm listening. And my best friend is like, I can't wait for your reaction. So I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, I just can't wait for your reaction. So I'm like, okay. So I'm listening to the book, and keep in mind, I'm listening to this on the way to a show. I'm not the only one in the car.
Oh boy.
So I'm driving, just listening, like, dang, she's going under a mountain. Oh, dang, they're torturing her. What the hell? And then the smut comes.
Oh no.
That author said one word. And I went red because I've got Papa Saint sitting next to me. I got Prince in the back, and they're nodding off. They hear that word, and they look at me like, Evelyn.
What the
And
hell
I'm
are we
like,
listening
I'm
to?
sorry. I'm turning down the volume. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I feel like my parents just walked in on me doing something I shouldn't. And then I stopped. I'm like, bitch, I'm 31 years old. Get off my ass.
If I want to listen to my smut, I can.
But it's so good.
Oh, that's so funny,
the
dude.
The book is so good, and it's like mostly because it's good because like there's a lot of violence. So I like a book that's really detailed and like the small things, and you really don't see the endings coming. And like for someone who's actually able to very accurately predict the endings of a lot of things,
Yeah.
I very much enjoy that. And so I like listening to fairy smut books.
Okay. Okay.
So those are my two guilty
man.
pleasures.
Okay, I'll give you two. Lana Del Rey is one of my favorite artists of all time. I listen to the song Ride after every single show that I do. That's the first song that I listen to when I pull out of the venue. So yeah, LDR, that I would marry that girl tomorrow if I could. Hell, Savannah would probably marry her with me. Now the second one, something I thought I would never be into. I always thought it was odd. I always thought it was kind of weird. Anime.
Oh, come on.
I have never been into anime whatsoever. When I first started dating Savannah, she has a tattoo behind her ear. And I asked her, I said, why do you have a Bluetooth signal tattooed behind your ear?
That's funny.
And little did I know, are you familiar with Berserk?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess it's a symbol from Berserk. And so she has that behind her ear. She has a dog. His name's Guts. He's the cutest thing in the entire world. But even, when I was starting to first get to know her and be around her, I was like, this anime stuff is kind of weird.
Right.
Until I sat down and watched the movie. And dude, Berserk is cool. I'm here to say it to anyone. Like, I've never been a big superhero guy like Marvel or any. I just never have. I've never been into superheroes or stuff like that. So like the fantasy stuff has never really appealed to me. Like, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, I could care less about any of that. Yep, I know. I just ruined our friendship.
Flip the table.
But even even as a kid, I just know. Like I remember going to see the original Harry Potter in theaters and being like, man, I'm bored. Like this just not doing it for me. I was such
to each their own.
Yeah, and I was such a wrestling or dirt bike or race cars, those were more my thing. So it was hard for me to get lost in the fantasy thing until as an adult at almost 30 years old, I watched Berserk and I was like, this is the coolest thing in the entire world.
That's awesome.
So we've already decided, I think Savannah's going to be Guts and I'm going to be Griffith for Halloween.
Okay.
The long blonde-haired one. Yeah.
Okay. That's going to be fun. All right.
But, yeah, Lana Del Rey and anime. Those are mine.
I used to watch anime when I was a kid, and just a couple of it. I was never really into it, and I still watch a little bit of it today. I like it. It's a little, I like the fantasy stuff. So the next time you see Bam Bam, make sure you bring your anime novelties, and maybe he'll sign it. I swear to God, do not bring me fairy smut. Do not.
Well, dude, she has the books, like the actual Berserk books. And like there is so much detailing in every single page, and to know that each one of those pages was hand drawn. And so I guess the original author of Berserk, he's passed away, and this was before that. This is before there's really been an ending to the series. So I think it's kind of like up in the air of like what's going to happen with the rest of the books. But I want to say there's 13 or 14 of them. I think she has 7 or 8. but I haven't sat down and read them or gone through them. But when she is, I'll sit with her and kind of go through them. And
no, you're right. The detail on those are insane. One of my other besties, Jeremy, he actually channels anime in his wrestling. He does it so good.
Okay.
Damien Daystar,
yeah,
he does it so well. He I say he let me borrow it. I still have it 2 years later. He gave me
It's
this
yours
book.
now.
It is, but he gave me this book. It's a horror anime. The name of it's escaping me right now. But like it's a bunch of smaller stories in a big book, but they're all kind of interlinked.
Okay.
And it's horror. But yeah, the amount of detail on that, it's like that takes skill that I know I do not have, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
And I'm looking at this one page, and I'm like, this had to take every bit of 10 to 12 hours minimum to create this one page.
One page.
In a, I don't know, 350, 400 page book.
They're never short.
That there's 14 of these books. Like, do you know how much time this guy has put, into these books? And that's why, like, I also didn't realize, like, with Berserk, that here we go. Welcome to the anime podcast. When I watched the movie, Guts is already a grown man. Well, I didn't realize that the books start from when he was a child. So if you read the books from 1 through 14, you literally follow Guts from a child all the way into his teens, into his adulthood. And so you learn why he's the way he is. And I don't know, I guess I just didn't. I think I'm a sucker for storytelling. Just because,
oh my God, it's like you're a wrestler or something.
In the business of storytelling. So when I find something that tells a story extremely well and with great detail like that, like I'm automatically
so
hooked
captivating.
Into it. Yep, exactly.
I love that so much
because there's just so much thought that went behind that. This guy didn't just wake up one day and decide to start doodling stuff down. Like, no, he has thought this over decades, I'm sure. And it's cool to see his art form tell those stories. And so yeah, I'm a sucker for Berserk.
Very nice. Well, we are already almost up here on the hour, and don't come for us if you see us in the same attire in the next episode, because we're about to do our second take. So because we're busy, okay, we got to get the content out for you guys, because believe it or not, some of y'all like this. So the links, the tags to our social medias will be down in the description box. Please give us a like, give us a follow the channel, follow the page, all that good stuff. And like, don't be afraid to comment what you want us to talk about, because we love it. We love the interactions. But once again, I am Ashley, one of your hosts here at the After the 3 Count podcast, and I bid you adieu.